Welcome back to the SimplyLebo Leadership Podcast, the place where we impact, raise, empower, and release leaders, quite frankly, everywhere in the world, one person at a time. I'm your host, Lebo, and today we are zeroing in on a topic that every leader, no matter your title, industry, or experience, needs to master. And what is that? We are dealing today with how to lead effectively in uncertain times. Let's be honest, folks. Uncertainty is the new normal, right? Whether it's driven by economic volatility, technological disruption, social shifts, or global crises, leaders can no longer rely on certainty as a foundation. So the question then becomes, how do you lead when the ground is always moving? Today, I'm sharing 3 critical tips that I believe will help you lead with strength, with stability, and even, when everything around you is shaking or feels unstable. Drum roll, please. Tip number 1, lead with clarity, not certainty. Let me say that again. Clarity and not certainty. In uncertain times, your people don't expect you to have all the answers, but they do expect you to be clear about where you are going, why it matters, and how they fit into the journey. Clarity is a stabilizer. It gives people direction even if the path isn't fully visible. Clarity says, I don't know exactly what's coming, but here is what we are prioritizing. Here is what we are believing or what we believe, and here is how we are going to move forward together. Now, folks, let's make this real. Imagine a leader who says the following, and I quote, "We are facing headwinds. Some things may shift, but that won't change, or what won't change, rather, is our commitment to our customers, our people, and our mission. We'll adjust tactics, but our values stay constant." Close quote. That kind of clarity builds trust, and trust is the currency of leadership in uncertain times. So ask yourself, what can I clarify right now, even if I can't guarantee certainty? Because the reality is no one can guarantee certainty, right? So what can I clarify right now? All right. Tip number 2, prioritize people over process. Now, don't get me wrong. Process is important. But in times of disruption, the leaders who win are those who connect before they correct. People are anxious in uncertain times, naturally. They are tired. They are looking to their leaders not just for direction, but for human connection. So, show up, be visible, ask questions, listen deeply. More than ever, people want to know the following. Do you see me? Do you value me? Will you walk with me through this uncertainty? One of the biggest mistakes that leaders make in chaos is to become more focused on matrix, than morale. Too focused on matrix versus morale. But people don't follow numbers. People follow people. So lead with empathy, lead with presence. Even a simple, sincere, how are you doing, really, can change someone's day. Uncertain times call for human-centered leadership. This leads us to our 3rd tip before we wrap up for today. Stay adaptable, but anchored, as it were, right? Stay adaptable, but anchored. Right? There's one thing about being flexible or adaptable, but you're still got to remain anchored. Let's talk about balance. On one hand, you need to be agile, ready to pivot, experiment, and adjust your strategy. But on the other hand, you need to stay anchored, grounded in your purpose, your values, and your non-negotiables. Here's what this looks like in reality. Flexible with your methods, firm in your vision, right? So in other words, quick to shift your tactics, but slow to abandon your values. Adaptability without anchoring leads to chaos. Anchoring without adaptability leads to rigidity. But when you have both, you can weather the storm and still move forward. Take a moment to reflect, friends. What are the core values that must stay constant in your leadership? Where do you need to be more flexible right now? Great leaders don't resist change. They ride the wave, but they do it with their compass intact. So, let's recap these 3 critical tips for leading in uncertain times. Number 1, lead with clarity, not certainty. Set a clear direction, even if the terrain is unknown. Second, prioritize people over process. Connection is more important than correction. Third and last, stay adaptable but anchored. Be flexible in your strategy but firm in your values. If you can lean into these principles, you'll not only survive uncertainty, you'll lead others through it with resilience, confidence, and impact. Friends, before we close, here's a reminder. Uncertainty doesn't disqualify you from leading. It's the very stage that calls you to rise. Your team doesn't need perfection. They'll need presence, perspective, and purpose. Thank you for joining me on the SimplyLebo Leadership Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did and it resonated with you, share it with a fellow leader, or better yet, take one of these tips and put it into action this week. Until next time, by God's grace, keep leading with courage and keep it simple. My name is Lebo, and it's been great to have you on today's episode. Eita, daar.